it takes the information up into the cloud and then pushes it out. So you should.
All right, we're live.
Live.
Yeah.
Everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of Peak Performance brought to you by Pinnacle Appliance Support. My name is Mike Langen. Today I have Jerome R. with us from our after sales department. He's one of our techs in-house. I'm sure you guys have talked to him a time or two. Say hello, Jerome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live today. Today, should I tell them we're going over?
Yeah, go ahead.
Today we'll be going over installing and adjusting the
Fulgor, Milano, and Fhiaba panel-ready columns. So today it's going to kind of encompass everything all in one video. So we've got joining kit, we've got panel installation, panel adjustment, and then the machine actually being installed. So the ones behind us here, we've got 2 Fhiaba units, and we've got the panel already hung on this one. We're going to hang the panel live on this one for you guys so you can kind of see how that's done. And then we're going to finish actually mounting this refrigerator together and finish the joining of these refrigerators together. Well, the fridge and freezer combo. So you've got your 5 mounting clips down each side of the refrigerator. It comes with screws from the box. Right outside the box, you just have screws. You take one screw out, you put the clip on, you put the screw back in. You'll have 5 down each side. You're going to put both refrigerators, well, fridge and freezer together, or fridge and wine column, however you guys have it set up, right next to each other. And then you're going to come and you're going to thread a screw through from clip to clip. You're going to marry all of these clips together. And then in the joining kit, it comes with a couple brackets and little hex screws. And you're going to bracket the system down to bottom, up at the top, and down at the back side. Shiloh, I think you have a little presentation if you guys want to show them a quick PDF kind of what the steps are step by step through this process.
So sharing on the screen, you'll see the joining kit first, and then I'll slowly move through this presentation for you.
Well, we're going to put the screws.
So you can see the brackets at the bottom and top of the unit. See here, making sure that those are level, measuring the gap as well.
All right, now that you guys have kind of seen the step-by-step on the slideshow there, we're going to kind of come back to the live feed. I'm going to have Jerome finish putting the screws back in these clips. So the joining kit comes with little Phillips head screws. They're little machine thread screws for plastic. Go ahead and pop those in there. We've already got our joining kit brackets on the machines as well. We've got them on the back side, the top side, and the front bottom side. And we're pretty level close to each other. And we've got our 5 clips on each side of the refrigerators as well. So basically, we're ready to roll it back to its spot. We're going to hang the panel before we roll it back into the niche and mount it. And then we're going to roll it back into the niche and actually mount it into the gable. All right, looks like we got one more screw. We should be good to go. All right. So now we've got our fridge complete, or fridge and columns, or fridge and wine column, however you guys have this set up. Now they're fully married together and joined together. We've got 3 brackets, 5 clips down the center, and now we have one machine essentially. So now we have one machine. We're going to actually level one machine or 2 machines as one. We've kind of already went through that process. Our floor is pretty level here, and we really didn't make much adjustments. We just kind of put them next to each other, and this is kind of how they came out of the box. The rear leveling legs, they do need to be adjusted up and down. You do need a 1/2 inch for the rear leveling legs and a 11/16 for the front feet.
Correct.
So once you guys get those in place, you guys can use those tools. I wouldn't recommend using an impact driver on that 1/2 inch nut for your rear leveling leg. You have a whole rod that goes all the way through the backside. It's a whole threaded rod. And if you use an impact driver, there's a great possibility, like 100% possibility, that you're going to destroy the threaded rod. As it goes through and you use your impact driver by Ugga Dugga 3, you got Ugga Dugga Dugga. By Ugga Dugga 3, you've already ruined the threads on that threaded rod. Then we're going to have to send a technician out to take care of that for service, all because of an installation issue. So make sure that you guys don't use impact drivers. Use a drill. Make sure it has a clutch on it. Use a ratcheted wrench, whatever this case is easiest for you guys. I like using the ratcheted wrench. That way you can kind of see, look at the top, and you're not going to go too far to where it's going to pitch too far, or you're not going to be able to kind of catch the fridge and not be able to see where it's going. So now I want to kind of grab the GoPro and show you guys a different view so you can kind of see this refrigerator from our angle. So you've got 5 clips down each side. On this side, same idea. We went ahead and installed your 5 on each side. And so that way, when you put the refrigerators back in the niche, you just anchor all 10 screws right into the cabinetry and she's secure. Let's go ahead and swap back over to the other camera. All right, so now before we actually roll it back, I'm going to have Jerome install this panel. Now, to install this panel, you need some hardware, and this should already kind of be done for you unless you guys are in the game of installing hardware and doing cabinetry work, but most installers do not get into that. They'll have the actual panel ready to go. They install the panel and adjust the panel accordingly. So it comes with some hardware. Shiloh, can you pull up the picture of that hardware for me? I just want to show them everything that's going to come with that kit. So you've got hooks, shoulder bolts, set screws, and a couple other screws. You've got screws that are used to anchor the clip to clip between the refrigerator. And you've got bolts to secure the actual brackets to marry the machine. And then you've got shoulder bolts and hooks. So these shoulder bolts, they thread directly into the refrigerator or column. You've got 2 holes here. So you got top and bottom. Bottom hole is for a set screw. Top hole is for your shoulder bolt. So I'm going to pop one out just so you can kind of see. You thread them in there. And on the back side of the shoulder bolt, you actually have a 4mm Allen key hole. And this is how we're going to actually adjust the panel. So this little shoulder bolt here threads into the refrigerator, column, combi, whatever you guys have. I would thread it in a couple notches there. And then if you want to go ahead and grab that panel for me, Jerome, and we'll show them the back side of that panel. So this is a shaker panel, so we had to add some extra strips here, but we've got our clips, our shoulder bolts, and our hooks hanging on the panel. And we're basically just going to turn this around and hang these hooks onto the shoulder bolts. And then once we get to that point, we'll show you the next step. Go ahead and hang it on there. Let's pop this door open. It's a little bit easier to do with it open. So basically what Jerome's doing is he's pushing the clips, like the hooks, into the channels on the door, so that way the hooks can hang on the shoulder bolts. All right, so now he's got the actual hooks hanging on all the shoulder bolts. Now we got kind of a floppy panel on the door, right? So let's go ahead and close the door and just kind of get a visual, see how much adjustments we need to make. So we're kind of touching at the top, we're open at the bottom, so we may need to adjust it slightly when we're installing it tight. So we've already got our fitment on the right door pretty good. So I want to make sure that we install this just like this to make sure the panel sits nice and pretty together. So as we install it, we're going to want to put pressure up here because you can adjust these shoulder bolts and hooks. There's a lot of play between the shoulder bolt and the hook to where you can move the panel left and right, up and down before it'll actually unhook. And then on the top of the panel, you actually have another screw and hook up here to where you can change the height of the panel. So in case you need to raise or lower the panel to accompany the panel next to it or the cabinetry around it. All right, so now we've got our door and our panel hanging on the door. We're gonna grab our 4mm wrench. And now on the back side of that shoulder bolt, you've got your Allen key hole, and you're gonna thread your Allen key hole through a spot on the door here. Now what I'm gonna do, I'll grab this other camera and show you, and I'll have Jerome kind of do it live. So since it's backwards and you put that shoulder bolt in clockwise, you know, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, when you're on the back side of this bolt, you're actually clockwise to pull that panel in. So if you kind of view right here, you can kind of watch as I turn this clockwise to pull effectively closer to the door. Once we do this all the way around, you're going to want to use your little set screw and anchor your set screw into the door, so that way the panel really isn't going anywhere now that it's installed. So we're going to go ahead and do this all the way around and then make sure our panel is nice and pretty, and then we'll go ahead and finish the install. We'll go ahead and swap back over to the other camera. Let's make sure this is pushed up where I want it. Should be using the tall guy to do this. All right. So we got top left done. We're going to get this center. So you can see now we've got no distance between the door and the actual panel. You're pulling that distance, you're closing that gap by pulling the shoulder bolts into the door. Now, I will mention sometimes when you go to do this, you have to peel back the refrigerator gasket. We already have the gasket removed on this one. I suggest you do the same because as you're peeling that gasket back, you have to manipulate this through to your back of your Allen keyhole. And you may be rubbing up against the back of the gasket, and as you turn and manipulate it, you may tear the gasket. We don't want that to happen. So just be mindful, pop off the gasket, set it down next to you guys. It's very easy to put back on. It just pushes back into this channel. That way you're saving a service call in the future. Another step I want to tell you guys about is as you're pulling the shoulder bolts through the door and pulling the panel into the door, be careful as the back of the shoulder bolt may touch the back of this plastic channel that the gasket pushes into and may push that gasket channel out towards you. Because then we're going to have an air leak in here. So just be mindful as you're pulling this screw through here, that's lining up correctly, and you're not going to push this channel out and cause an air leak in the future just off of a panel installation. All right, so we got left side done. You want to do the right side? Well, first, let's check our fitment. I pushed it up nicely. So we'll loosen it and push it up just a little bit. Yeah, we'll loosen up all those that whole left side just slightly so we can just adjust it up like 1/8 of an inch. But this is the hardest part, is just kind of taking your time, having a little bit of patience, and going through the process. This is all written out. There's an actual video series on YouTube. So if you go to Pinnacle Appliance Support, obviously you can see all of our lives and all of our video content. Fhiaba has a YouTube channel. Fulgor Milano also has a YouTube channel. On Fhiaba's YouTube channel, they have a 13 video series on installing a fully integrated combi unit. They go into grave detail on hanging the panel, adjusting the panel, panel installation on the freezer drawer, the whole 9 yards. It's a great video. So if you guys are interested, check that out. It's just good stuff to see. It's good information to have, and it's just quick and easy to see and watch in your van before you guys go into the home and actually complete the repair or the installation. Cool. So now we're just going to make sure that panel is pushed as far to the right as we can. Oh, you already did it. Perfect. So now just tighten her down. So we're going to counterclockwise. So as he's doing this, I also want to talk about insulation blankets because that's a hot topic too. When you combine 2 refrigerators together, 2 columns, 2 refrigerators, a wine column or a combi unit, you may need an insulation blanket. It really depends on the machine that you're purchasing. So if it's a top mount compressor, you will need an insulation blanket. If it's a bottom mount compressor, just like these units here, you do not need an insulation blanket. Between the refrigerators, behind the side panel there's little vent cutouts, and that allows the air to escape up between the machines and prevent that moisture from collecting. If it's a top mount compressor, you do need an insulation blanket. It is an accessory. It needs to be ordered with the machines when you place your initial order. So just be mindful. When you guys are ordering columns or you're going to be marrying machines together, you're going to order your machines, you're going to order the accessory joining kit, and then you're going to order everything else that's necessary for that product. All right, so we got our panel nice and ready. Check the fitment. I love it. We can make that final adjustment once we get in there, but that's like 1/8 of an inch just vertical. We can make that happen once it's in there. So I'm pretty happy with where it's at. Just because we have that small adjustment, we can get it in the hole and then actually make that adjustment once it's in there. So now that we got this to this point, let's close the door and then we'll just kind of roll it back together simultaneously so you can get this into the cabinetry here. Pull your side out. Go ahead. Push in. Go ahead. Let me get this side in. So we got any questions in the chat, Shiloh? Grab a sip of my drink really quickly.
All right, so a question we have from the chat: are you able to adjust the brackets if the panel is slightly off? Which we have discussed a little bit. We can go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so on the inside of the hinges too, where the door mounts to the hinges, you have a little bit of adjustment too. So we were just like 1/8 of an inch off here at the top to where we wanted to have a little bit more of a gap here. We had a slightly larger gap at the bottom. So what we're probably going to end up doing is loosening the screws to the door, to the hinge, slipping that slightly over. So that way we're going to fix that little gap and make sure it's perfect plumb 1/8 inch or 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch all the way down. But there is multiple adjustments. So once it's on there, you've got adjustment up and down. You got adjustment left and right, X and Y. You can really manipulate these panels however you need necessary.
And another one that we have from the chat looks like it might be a servicer asking about the different styles of clips. Do we want to talk about the different niche cutouts?
So yes, that's a great question. Thank you for even bringing that one up. So let's say you have a 36-inch refrigerator. You have a 36-inch combi refrigerator. Out of the box, if you measure from side to side of that refrigerator, it's like 35 3/8. It's like a European width. But the mounting clips that you saw here that we use to install this refrigerator and mount them together, if you measure from clip to clip once they're installed on there, you're going to achieve your 36 inches exactly. So let's say you have a 28-inch column or a 22-inch column, 24-inch column. Make sure you use the specified clips that come with that machine. They all come in the crisper bins. You have 10 per machine, and they're going to be labeled. If it's an 18-inch, it'll say 18 on the little clip. Some are gray, some are white. It doesn't matter the color. It's really just a matter of the resin that they use that day. So just make sure that the number matches the size of the refrigerator or the column that you're installing. And that way you're going to achieve the US width. It's going to be 30, 36, 24, 22. You're going to achieve that that width no matter what. So if you have a 36-inch opening, you have a 36-inch fridge with clip to clip, you roll it in there, you've got a 36-inch install. It's going to fit perfectly. So that's also to say, if the customer and the builder and everybody knows about European installs and they want to go that route, they actually can do that too with the 35 3/8. But that's also how sometimes installations get a little wonky. Things will get cut out a little differently because they'll look at the different measurements in the installation manual and see that it can be installed as a European install versus an American US install. So just be mindful when you guys are cutting out those niches, make sure it's the US size, so that way our installers can attach those clips and roll it right in there.
And the last one from the chat, is there any sort of brackets or sort of plastic molding that would cover the brackets?
Yes, so all of the plastic trims and everything that's going to hide all of our reveals come taped to the back of the refrigerator. You want to close that door for me too? Grab the ones from that side. Oh, we did? So the joining kit will come with an additional strip. So each refrigerator will come with a left and a right strip. That way, in case you're installing it independently, you have a strip that'll clip to your right clips and a strip that'll clip to the left clips. That way, when you open the door, the customer's not going to be able to see the reveal here. So then with this accessory that you purchase, it's going to come with this center joining strip. This does not come with the refrigerators. This gets installed right here, and they just simply push onto these clips. So on the back side of this, the way that it's shaped and the way that these clips are shaped, it's just a simple push, and it clips right on there. So once we get this refrigerator installed, you just push it on there, and it clips into place. But we don't want to pop that on there just yet. But that's a great question. Anything that you guys need as far as hardware to finish off the install and the toe kick are going to be mounted to the back of the refrigerator. Oftentimes things like that get forgotten. Toe kicks are magnetic. They magnet to the back of the refrigerator or the freezer. That's one of the more common things that we see that we're sending out as far as service goes, because it's probably still mounted inside on the back of that side of that refrigerator. And we don't want to have to uninstall it just to grab that. So oftentimes we'll shoot out a toe kick or two. All right, so now you've got your panel secure on there. We'll go ahead and see if we can't get that left side in there a little bit further.
So while they're pushing the unit in, I'm going to pull up some more documentation here. Just kind of quickly review. And if you are a servicer in the deal, you need to this information. You can always reach out to us. Our tech support line is 844-477-4832. You can reach out to any of our technicians
Hang on, close the door a little. There we go. Close the front feet up a little bit. All right, go ahead and grab that 11/16 and we'll raise these front feet up a little bit. So once you get them secured to the ground, just give them like 2 or 3 turns. So that way we're going to raise them all up the same height. You don't want to do too much on one side and not enough on the other, especially if you have a nice level ground already. So while he's doing that, I want to show you guys a little drill bit attachment that I have here. So to install this refrigerator column combi into the niche itself, you actually have to go through the door channel between the actual cabinet and the door to actually anchor the screws through your clip to the cabinetry. I suggest getting you guys a longer drill bit holder so that way you can attach that to your drill and achieve that distance to get to your screw there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're looking good on that one. Yep, we just need to raise the feet on this one slightly.
So I am going to cut to the handheld as we get a little bit closer in here. We're going to show the adjustments for the feet on the bottom as Jerome is adjusting.
Looks like the centers are matching up nicely.
Good there?
Yes, sir.
Should be good. Just a few more.
Pretty. I like it. So the gap on the left side between the gable and the door is looking great. The gap between the doors are looking great. And the gap between this side is looking great. Looks like we can come maybe a little bit more on this bottom right side. Raise that front foot up maybe just another little bit. And then once he gets that foot adjusted up a little bit more, we'll go ahead and actually screw this into the cabinetry.
Some of the 2 turns.
That looks good. Let's see. Way better. Perfect. All right. So now that we've got it in its place where we kind of want it to go, this does sit proud slightly because they are such deep machines. This specific install in our showroom does sit a slightly proud. So this is how we have it done on here. I'm going to go ahead and anchor this now to the cabinetry adjacent to it into the gable. So I'm going to close the door slightly on myself and I'm going to use the drill. If you want to grab the GoPro and go over my shoulder so they can kind of see what I'm doing. So you've got all your mounting clips. That you're going to screw into the cabinetry next to it. And having a longer drill bit attachment is going to be a lifesaver. Grab a couple more screws. Now you guys can kind of see it all starting to come together, like on the PDF that shot. Time consuming. You have to kind of take your time. Peek in, you can see all of them nice and pretty down there. And then what happens, you've got your trim strip that's going to hide the reveal on this side. So come around here, you can kind of see this is going to fill that void. So we're going to clip this trim strip. This is taped to the back of the refrigerator, column, combi, whatever you guys just unboxed. This is still taped to the back side. So just be careful. If you're missing this, don't install it fully yet. Get it back out so you can get this trim. Then you're going to push. A nice hidden reveal all the way down. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, my wood. Use a driver or anything crazy like that in this instance. All right, so now we close our little adjustment holes. And then we got our door gasket to put back on, the center trim strip, and that left trim strip, and we got it installed refrigerator columns, boys. All right, we'll grab the center one. Now, when you guys go to take these off, it's going to happen at some point. You're going to want to grab your fingernails behind this. It's plastic, it's soft plastic, but you do not want to run your finger up the back side of this. You will cut yourself. So slide it down slightly, get yourself some distance, and kind of peel it back. Once you peel it back, you can kind of push forward and unclip it. To clip it, it's just a simple push on there. All right. Now we got some toe kicks and door gasket. Any other chats while we're putting on this gasket, Charlotte? I will say, when you go to put this gasket in this channel, make sure that the corners of the gasket actually get pressed into the channel. Start your top of the gasket there, but you're going to kind of want to bunch the corners up. So that way you make sure the corners actually go into the channel of the gasket there, because we don't want an air leak. The worst thing we can have is an air leak in this spot.
So question we did get, if we have a pretty experienced team, roughly how long do you think an installation should take for 2 units?
For joining 2 units together fully integrated, I would say experienced technician or installers, 45 minutes to an hour. If the panel is already set with like hardware, 100%. And that's like taking your time. That's not like rushing.
And to add on to that question as well, so we've been live streaming for about 28 minutes now. We did have a little bit of a head start, but as you can see, the process doesn't take super long if you just take your time with it. Make sure you're, again, measuring twice, cutting once.
Yeah, that's how long we've been so far, only about a half hour. Yeah, so we did. We took a couple ahead where we started dreaming refrigerator, rolling it in next to each other, setting them to where they're pretty close level to each other, mounting the front, back, and top hardware for the joining kit. So that probably added another 15-20 minutes to it for sure. But now we got our gasket pressed in there. The panels are sitting on there nicely. May need to make some fine-tune adjustments, but all in all, that is the meat and potatoes of installing, joining, marrying, however you guys want to word it. 2-column refrigerators, 2-column combis, a wine column, and a combi. However you guys have that set up, or the customer wants that desired setup, it's a pretty easy install. 10 clips, joining kit, you've got 10 clips, clip the clip down the center. You got the bracket system, front, bottom, front, back, top. The accessory joining kit comes with the center strip there. And then the top mount compressors also have an accessory where you can have one complete grill, and they also have one complete toe kick.
All right, so I'm cutting again to the hardware just so that we can see it again. This is the shoulder bolts and the studs, as well as all the mounting hardware. We'll just leave this up for a few seconds here.
Yeah, that's super important because everybody always misplaces stuff or thinks that they're missing things like that. So that's just a basic one picture of everything that you're going to need to essentially install the panel to the refrigerator. The hardware, it should be installed for you. Out to one of these refrigerators, there's really not a chance, or oftentimes you don't have to remove the panel, but if you do, it's still something that's easily enough done that a technician can accomplish it. Oftentimes these days with some of these specific installs, it gets a little tricky and they might get an installer out to uninstall it for them to repair the refrigerator. But 98% of things, 98.9% of things can be done with this refrigerator repaired right in its spot. There's really nothing, virtually nothing that needs to be done to remove this refrigerator.
All right, so we did have another question pop up in the chat. Asking another question, do we have any tips or tricks for leveling on an uneven floor?
Oh man, that's tough. Just using your eye, using a level, using some shims, that's going to be the best way to achieve that. You can raise and lower one side more than the other side. It is possible to adjust the refrigerators to where if you're on a really uneven surface, the right refrigerator or left refrigerator can be adjusted to accompany it. Or you need maybe to use shims or something along those lines. That would be the easiest way. So kind of wanted to just recap real quick everything that we did today. So we did panel installation on 2 columns. We joined 2 columns together. So we used a joining kit, and then we installed the refrigerators into the cabinetry, pushed on the trim strips, and everything is nice and clean and flush installed. So thank you for joining us today for our peak performance, brought to you by Pinnacle Appliance Support. Thank you, Jerome, for helping me out today. And Shiloh behind the scenes.
Perfect. And as we close out here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up our website again just to kind of reiterate pinnacleapplianceparts.com, and also finding documentation there. You just go to find a part and you can look through all of the Fulgor Milano presentations as well, or documentation.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy, and we'll see you on the next one.